here with you. Yes, the UK and Morocco share a wonderfully historic, deep partnership. Indeed, few countries can claim that the relations between their leaders go back over 800 years, and so we have this historic and very special partnership with, including between our two royal families and indeed our two monarchs. At the same time, we have a new and exciting modern relationship with, for example, we are confidently expecting over 1 million British visitors to come to Morocco during the current year. And so the Foreign Secretary's visit was not only a celebration of this long and deep relationship, which we believe has got great potential as well, but actually, as both our ministers announced during that visit, we believe it's the start of a new and exciting era in our relations. The UK has long held its relationship with Morocco as being extremely important, and actually our relationship with Morocco and with other important partners in Africa is central to my government's approach to resetting our relationship with countries across the African continent. And we actually see Morocco as a really important partner in this. We want to create new partnerships of equals with other African partners, partnerships of trust and renew and mutual confidence and trust. And so this is a really exciting moment for us. And as you know, the first visit by a Foreign Secretary to Morocco since 2011. When I talk about a new era in our relationship, it's worth considering that the UK and Morocco were really close trading partners up until around the turn of the 20th century, really important trading partners for each other. And then for a whole host of really understandable reasons, our focus, both countries' focuses, broadened and went elsewhere a bit. We see that we see a much closer relationship now, and one where our interests are coinciding more and more. And so, for example, our balance of trade has more than doubled over the last few years. It now stands at 4.2 billion pounds a year, something like 50 billion dirham. And we see massive potential for that to increase. And so it was really exciting that during the Foreign Secretary's visit, we saw signed, or we agreed to sign numerous agreements, including a really groundbreaking government-to-government agreement on developing World Cup infrastructure. So football-related infrastructure, but everything that goes around that, collaborating in developing this critical infrastructure, but also with a very, very specific time frame. We also saw a memorandum of understanding signed between our business department and the Ministry of Equipment and Water, covering water and ports management, smart logistics, and so on. And another MOU between our business department and the Ministry of Interior, covering services like water and waste treatment in local authorities. We've concluded an agreement on public procurement, which will, with the Ministry of Industry and Trade. We've seen agreements between British government departments and the Ministry of Health. The UK Export Finance Organisation, which is our principal organisation that mainly gives British government backing to commercial loans to support investment projects. They've signed agreements with two of Morocco's largest contractors who are involved in delivering extraordinary infrastructure development in electricity, in water, but also in the infrastructure that will be needed for the World Cup, like, for example, the extraordinary new Grand Stade de Casablanca near Ben Slimane, which, as you'll know, is being designed by a British architecture company, and this will then allow us to see a greater British involvement in these projects. So it's we're seeing a great deal more, and there's a lot more to come. Well, no, I like the question. Thank you very much. You know, the fact is that we both the UK and Morocco have room for important partnerships with a number of countries. So I don't see it as direct competition. And of course, you know, South Africa is a very important partner for the UK. We have very long historical links with South Africa, and indeed, I see the Morocco's increasing development as not just a gateway to Africa, but as a pivotal market in Africa, as being really important for the wider development of the continent. The extraordinary expansion of Royal Air Maroc will see Africa connected, many parts of Africa connected to other parts of the world through Casablanca. And this is all good for Morocco's relations with South Africa, but also for our own. So there is no competition there. But I do see the scale of our economic collaboration with Morocco increasing considerably as a direct result of what we have agreed during the course of this visit. And there's a shared commitment which is really quite special. So, for example, it was wonderful during the course of our strategic dialogue when Foreign Minister Brita said we have ambition for the UK to be among our top 5 trading partners. We're about 7 or 8 at the moment. But I don't want to stop there. We're going to keep going because there is so much more to do. And that gives us all enthusiasm, both me and my great friend Hakim Hajoui, His Majesty's Ambassador in London. You know, we are on the same path and we are working together on this. Morocco is already one of the UK's largest suppliers of fresh fruit and vegetables. I was in the supermarket in Birmingham last week, noticing the Moroccan raspberries and tomatoes on the shelves of Marks and Spencer's. You know, it really matters to British people, and we are, between us, making good use of the UK-Morocco Association Agreement to try to facilitate greater trade between the two countries. My last point on this is that when we talk about increasing trade, we are interested in increasing trade in both directions, as are our Moroccan friends, because there is so much complementarity between our two economies and so little competition that when trade increases in either direction, both parties benefit. And that's quite an unusual aspect of our relationship, which is why we're so keen to work together to increase our trade and our investment in both directions. So UK Export Finance is it's an export credit agency, but it actually provides financing on very competitive and also on very flexible terms in support of projects involving UK exports of goods, of services, of intellectual property, and so on. But also that, as I say, it's flexible and it requires a relatively low UK content. So this is an envelope of money that can be used in support of major infrastructure projects. And because UK Export Finance has identified Morocco as one of its priority markets, there is an envelope of an initial, it doesn't have to stop there, but an initial £5 billion available in support of projects in Morocco. This is principally provided in the form of British government sovereign guarantee to commercial loans. It's the standard way that such financing is generally applied, and it facilitates projects, in general projects that will then have a very large element of Moroccan component. And this is what we're so proud of with our UK export finance offer, that we see British companies, for example, getting back to the infrastructure development that we are seeing taking place around us. We are looking at partnerships between British engineering, equipment supply companies and so on, and Moroccan partners, often contractors and other major elements of a project, which can then benefit from this British government-backed finance and deliver projects which give great advantage to both our countries. So we're not just talking about selling British products here, we're talking about a real partnership. And the UK Export Finance is so committed that we now have, and indeed we have had for the last couple of years, an international expert in export finance who has been appointed by UK Export Finance and is actually based here in my embassy in Rabat. The focus, as you will have seen, from the communique that was issued jointly after the UK Morocco strategic dialogue, focuses very much on the urgent need to pursue a mutually agreed solution to the question of Western Sahara, so my minister made very clear that the UK accepts the crucial importance of this issue to Morocco, and the urgent need to find a solution, a mutually agreed solution, which is going to be both definitive and lasting. We all know that this is a question and indeed a conflict which has been going on for a very long time. And as a member of the Security Council, the United Nations Security Council, and as a friend of countries across the Maghreb, the UK's shift in position, and I can call it that, regarding the autonomy proposal, is designed to harness the shift in international sentiment, which is leading us, we believe, towards a real push for a solution. And we have a shared conviction with Morocco that there is an urgent need for this and to pursue a solution in support of the personal envoy of the United Nations Secretary General. So during his visit, my minister made clear that the UK is willing, able, and really committed to engage on the search for a mutually agreed solution in support of the United Nations-led peace process and the personal envoy, and to find a solution which is, as you know, according to the many texts on this issue, one that will be based on compromise, that conforms to the fundamental principles of the United Nations Charter, including the respect for self-determination. And we very much hope that this momentum, this enthusiasm that we see, can lead towards a mutually agreed solution, and we hope, relatively soon. And this is something which our ministers agreed on, and we have agreed to work towards that to the best of our efforts. My Foreign Minister David Lammy was very clear of our commitment to lend our support to this process. We cannot claim to own it or to be even the main mover. The parties concerned have to be the ones to agree, and to agree a mutually agreed solution. So the UK is not defining that solution. and it would be strange for us to try after such a long period of time. It is really to pick up this sense that there is progress towards this, but progress that must be agreed on by the parties concerned, not imposed. And this is something which has come across so clearly, and you will see in the text of the joint communiqué. We are not talking about the UK stating that this or that must happen. This was a joint communiqué with a shared conviction on the need for urgent action and the need for the solution to be mutually agreed, and that's really important and really positive. I'm glad you asked this question, and like you, I'm really excited by it. Sadly, I will be before long coming to the end of my mandate here, so I will not be here in 2030 for the World Cup, but I promise you I will, on one of the ever increasing number of flights that we see coming from all over the UK to all over Morocco. No, the World Cup is a source of great excitement. I mean, you feel it all over Morocco. And so many British people are excited. And indeed, I have to say, even before the World Cup, many British people are so excited by the Africa Cup of Nations, the ladies' serial which starts in July, and then the men's version at the end of the year. And we will have many visitors from the UK for that. Many people follow African football in the UK. But when it comes to the World Cup, the level of preparation and expectation is enormous, and I'm very glad to say that we can really claim some wonderful experience in delivering genuine government to government and business to business partnerships to deliver such major events. We have a very long history of collaboration in Olympic and football events in other parts of the world. But I think maybe it's probably best to talk about our experience in London in 2012, because this is not just about delivering a games, it's also about the legacy. And of course, there is so much effort and so much investment that is going into preparation for the World Cup. And there have been at times around the world when World Cup and other sporting facilities have been created for an event, and then they're not used afterwards. And the legacy is so important. And so I'm very proud that we can show, and we have spent a lot of time sharing the legacy, for example, from the London 2012 Olympics. The Olympic Park itself it's like a reactor. It continues to grow. If you visit there today, you will find it's very different to the one that I moved next to. I am a product of the legacy of the London 2012 Olympics. I bought a house just next door to the Olympic Park soon after the Olympics. 10 years later, I see we have 2 universities, we have daily concerts by ABBA avatars, can you believe, in their purpose-built stadium. We have a complete new quarter, a new quartier of East London, which is built entirely around the Olympic Village. We have performance venues, and the infrastructure around it is what brings people in. And so it's that kind of expertise, the not just the construction and the design, the management of people through the security and the experience of people visiting these major events, but also the heritage planning side of it. And already this year, within the last year, we've had 3 major seminars that we have organized from the British Government Authority, which is responsible for planning and delivering major infrastructure plans. And we've had as many as 20 plus Moroccan organizations, both governmental, quasi-governmental and private, involved in these seminars. And we're now moving this forward. And so we have further major events planned. We have got a number of missions that we are waiting for coming out from the UK, of companies who are looking to get involved, to bring their expertise, backed by finance, as I've discussed, to help deliver and engage in this. As I mentioned earlier, we have one British cabinet d'architecture, architectural practice that has won the contract to design not only the new Grand Stade de Casablanca, but already this is Populous, based in London, who have master planned the design of the redesign of the Moulay Abdullah Stadium here in Rabat, which David Lammy visited earlier this month, and he was extremely impressed. And we see that as just the start. We've again, I like to stress that I'm not just talking about trying to sell British expertise and British steel and so on. It is about partnership with Moroccan companies. We don't do everything. We don't want to do everything. And it's that really sort of active, organic partnership between British and Moroccan partners, which I think is going to help deliver this. And we've had a lot of engagement with the Fédération Royale Marocaine du Foot, and we hope that the experience we have had also of delivering to the needs and the demands of major sporting events like the Olympics, like the European Championships. We'll be hosting the European Football Championships in the UK, as well as in Ireland and Wales and Scotland in 2028. And so this is a real exchange of experience, and you will see major companies involved. I've already mentioned Populous. You will see other British companies who are delivering different elements of the infrastructure. And I'm not just talking about football either. You know, we have the transport infrastructure, both railways and particularly airports, where we see not only a great opportunity, but also further mutually beneficial partnerships. And we very much hope to see those announced very soon. We're really excited by the fact that the Ministry of National Education have asked the UK and specifically the British Council to help in the scaling up and the increasing the quality of English language education, but also of teaching in the English language in Moroccan public schools. It's a sign of how respected the British Council is in this field. And so 2 years ago, they started with a pilot project, and 80 or 90, I think maybe, teachers who are entering the teaching profession in Moroccan public schools, secondary schools, went through a transformational pre-service training so that their English was raised before they even started teaching. This was so successful, we scaled that up. So last year we had 200 teachers. And this has now been so appreciated that the Ministry of National Education have agreed to co-fund this. So we will then be able to scale that up further. And as this happens, the more teachers enter the profession and then engage also in continuous learning, the more that English language capability will increase, and the more we'll see subjects other than the English language itself being taught in English. And what's so exciting about this is, and I can tell you that I'm also very excited by the fact that in my time here, we've seen the number of British schools, official accredited British schools in Morocco, increase from 3 to 8, and those numbers are going up. But this is something which will allow greater access to education in the English language to the whole of the Moroccan population, and not just those who are in private schools. And this is really exciting, and we're simply responding to the demand from young Moroccan people. Your English is perfect, if I may say so. But more and more of our young Moroccan friends are looking to speak English, to know English. They see it as a means of accessing more online content, but also it's the language of international business and so on. And so it's something that is really quite special and quite exciting. And when you have graduated from your high school in Morocco, inshallah, the agreement that was signed with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation during the Foreign Secretary's visit will also open the way for us to see more campuses of British universities operating in Morocco, which I think is also quite exciting because it means you have the opportunity, a wider opportunity to pursue an international university education without even leaving Morocco, unless you choose to. And most, our existing British universities here allow you to spend time in the UK as well as time in Morocco. And so these are great flexible options which will allow more people, depending on their situation and their resources, to be able to benefit from high quality, internationally recognized English language education. Specifically around tourism, no. And the reason for that is that it is almost the epitome of an entrepreneurial private sector, where governments provide a framework, and Her Excellency the Minister for Tourism and Crafts is incredibly active. I have been at conferences with her in London, promoting Morocco as a destination, but actually the sector itself is very much driven by private enterprise, and often quite small enterprises. I can't count the number of small-scale British investors there are in the tourism sector, not just in Marrakesh as you might think, but in the High Atlas, in Agadir, in Fez, and around the country. So I would say that our collaboration is around the experience of tourists. We are very careful with our travel advice to try to make sure that they are carefully prepared to come. We work, and this is not specifically related to tourism, I would quickly add, but we work remarkably closely with our Moroccan counterparts on all aspects of security. Counter-terrorism, counter-migration, and so on. And we announced an intention to conclude 2 agreements in that in this security field during our ministerial visit and the strategic dialogue. And this is just an example about the way in which this broader collaboration helps to ensure the happy experience of our visitors. We will definitely find many more people interested as a result, first of the Coupe Africaine des Nations later this year, and then of course as the World Cup is going to be a wonderful showcase for Morocco, and we expect there to be more visitors. It feels to me as if Morocco has an almost unlimited capacity to welcome people to its country. I've been here for nearly 5 years, and I can't tell you the number of times that when I go to somewhere new or somewhere people don't know who I am, they see I'm a foreigner, and they just say, "Welcome to Morocco, this is your home." The first time you hear that, you think, "Oh, nobody said that to me before." But it is a universal sentiment in Morocco, and it makes it very, very special. And I think that's one of the reasons that we are finding more and more people looking to come here. And there are, I'm glad to say, increasing flights to Rabat itself. I've seen over the time that I've been here that Rabat is becoming itself a much more visited city. And everyone who comes says, "Wow, this is amazing. Why did I not know that Rabat was so lovely?" So we are seeing, already we have large-scale tourism to the 5 other World Cup host cities. And we're now seeing that to Rabat as well. And of course, when the fantastic new terminal opens at Rabat Airport, I'm sure we're going to see that growing. The one agreement that we didn't talk about earlier on was that between the Directorate General for Meteorology here and the UK government's meteorological office, and that is just another example of we're not talking about large-scale contracts or anything here. We're simply talking about collaboration between two equal partners who can benefit from the experience of the others. And when I talk about experience, I don't just mean knowledge. I also mean the fact that the meteorological services in Morocco generally focus on a very different set of climatic conditions to those in the UK, in the wet north of Europe. And so we have a lot that we can share with each other. And so increasingly we find extreme weather incidents in the UK. We've had problems with flooding in a number of areas, which is generally in the past has been more associated with hotter climates. So the experience that Morocco has in predicting, forecasting weather incidents here is something that the UK benefits from, and we believe that we can bring experience as well. And so this is just yet another little aspect of our relationship which has arisen out of this visit and we see expanding in the future.
ما تنساش تشترك في القناة وتفعل الجرس باش يوصلك جديد الفيديوهات من هسبريس.